What if your power has nothing to do with how loud you are, but how well you control yourself when no one's watching? Most people chase validation through performance. But true greatness doesn't start with the crowd, it starts in silence. In how you speak, walk, act, when there's nothing to prove, and only discipline to build. You don't need to wait until you're successful to carry yourself like someone who is. What if acting like the best is exactly how you become it? What if the way you move, behave, and believe is the real training ground of confidence, not someday, but today? No one is better than you, and you're not better than anyone. But you can become unshakable by mastering one thing: yourself. Comparison is noise, control is clarity, and the most magnetic presence in the room isn't the loudest, it's the one who doesn't need to speak to be respected. There's a truth most people never dare to believe. You don't need to wait until you succeed to start acting like the strongest version of yourself. In reality, winners are not simply crowned. They are the ones who have quietly worn the crown in their minds every single day, through their thoughts, their actions, and the way they respond to life. Stoic philosophy doesn't teach arrogance. It teaches something far more powerful: that you can become great by starting from within. That everything you need is not out there in the world, but already inside you, in your ability to master yourself. This video isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about acting as if you already are your most powerful self. Not to hide weakness, but to forge real strength. You'll learn how to build unshakable self-belief without needing constant validation. Behave like the best, even if you haven't achieved the outcome yet. Eliminate comparison and stay focused on your own path. Use body language to express quiet, lasting confidence. Let your behavior speak louder than any words ever could. And ultimately, master yourself, because self-mastery is the true foundation of greatness. No one is better than you, and you are better than no one. You only need to become who you are, at your highest level. And that journey begins right here. 1. Everything begins with self-perception. The way you see yourself shapes the way the world sees you. Not because people can read your mind, but because they can read your energy. Your posture, your behavior, and all of those are quietly dictated by what you believe about yourself. Before you say a word, before you take a single step, you're already communicating something. And what you communicate is rooted in one thing: your perception of yourself. You move through life at the level of your self-belief. Every action you take is filtered through how worthy you believe you are. If you see yourself as capable, you'll move forward, even when it's hard. If you see yourself as inadequate, you'll hesitate, even when you're more than ready. If you believe you belong, you'll take up space without apology. If you believe you're an outsider, you'll constantly seek approval. This is not about arrogance. It's about alignment. The Stoics taught that you must know yourself, not in the surface-level way, but in the deep, conscious recognition of your values, your strengths, your flaws, and your place in the world. Because when you know who you are, The opinions of others become irrelevant. And when you forget who you are, you become a slave to what the world wants you to be. The mirror principle. The world tends to reflect back to you what you unconsciously project. If you carry insecurity, people sense it. If you walk with conviction, people feel it. If you doubt your own worth, others will treat you accordingly. This doesn't mean you have to fake confidence. It means you need to return to your inner authority. When you walk into a room thinking, "I'm not enough," you shrink. You filter your words. You wait for permission to exist. But when you walk into the same room thinking, "I belong here just like anyone else," your energy changes. You become grounded, present, and calm. You stop seeking validation and start offering value. The Stoic doesn't hope to be seen, they learn to see themselves clearly. And that is enough. Confidence is not arrogance, it's responsibility. We often confuse confidence with ego. But true self-belief isn't about thinking you're better than anyone. It's about knowing you're not less than anyone. It's about making the conscious decision every day to live from your highest identity. Not your fears or your past. Think of it like this. Confidence isn't saying, "I'm the best." Confidence is saying, "I deserve to stand tall today, regardless of yesterday." It's understanding that the strongest version of you is always one decision away. And that decision is how you choose to see yourself, not when things are perfect, but especially when they're not. How self-perception shapes behavior. The way you see yourself becomes your internal script, and that script becomes your body language, tone of voice, risk tolerance, reactions under pressure, vision for what you're capable of. Let's break it down. If you see yourself as weak, you'll give up early. If you see yourself as unworthy, you'll settle in relationships. If you see yourself as forgettable, you'll avoid taking the spotlight, even when it's your time. But when you shift that self-image, even slightly, everything begins to recalibrate. You say, "What if I acted like someone who believed they were enough?" And suddenly, your behavior begins to reflect it. You speak a little more clearly. You take up just a bit more space. You stop waiting for someone to save you, and start showing up for yourself. The Stoic path. Know thyself. Self-perception, in the Stoic tradition, isn't based on ego or performance. It's rooted in character. Who are you when no one is watching? What do you believe you're here to do? Do you trust your ability to handle life, not perfectly, but powerfully? Marcus Aurelius journaled daily to remind himself of his values, his mortality, and his purpose. He didn't write to impress. He wrote to remember who he was. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. That strength doesn't start with the world. It starts with what you believe when you look in the mirror. How to begin rebuilding your self-perception. If you've been living from a broken or limited view of yourself, here are 3 practices to help you realign. 1. Speak to yourself with clarity, not cruelty. Challenge your inner dialogue. Replace "I'm not ready" with "I'm learning fast." 2. Act in alignment with the identity you want to claim. Don't wait to feel confident. Move like someone who respects themselves. 3. Visualize yourself grounded, strong, and calm. Close your eyes each morning and see yourself walking through the day with quiet certainty. Self-perception is the root of everything. Your tone, your habits, your boundaries, your ambition. And no one can give it to you. You must decide, right now, to believe in the person you're becoming. Not because you're perfect. Not because you have proof. But because you're done living small to make others comfortable. So today, carry yourself like someone who knows they belong. Act as if you are the best, not because others are beneath you, but because your truest self deserves to lead. The world doesn't need more arrogance. It needs more people who are finally ready to remember their worth. 2. Act like the best, even if you're not there yet. Success is not a switch you flip once you've made it. It's a standard you live by before anyone else sees it. That's one of the most powerful truths the Stoics, and high performers throughout history, understood. You don't wait to become the best before you act like the best. You act like the best so you become the best. This isn't about faking or pretending. It's about choosing the mindset, posture, and discipline of someone who already lives by a higher code, long before the world acknowledges it. Because your results follow your rituals. And your rituals are built on the identity you choose to embody today, not someday. Attitude comes before achievement. The average person believes this. Once I succeed, then I'll carry myself with confidence. Once I prove myself, then I'll deserve to act like someone who's elite. But that's backward. The reality? Confidence precedes success. Behavior shapes belief. Identity forms before external validation. The Stoics didn't wait to feel great in order to live by greatness. They practiced virtues, courage, temperance, wisdom, self-control, daily, whether anyone noticed or not. They understood that true mastery begins internally, not with applause, titles, or numbers. You train the mind by modeling the standard. Think of this like training a muscle. When you repeatedly act like the version of yourself you aspire to become. Speaking clearly. Standing with posture. Showing up early. Staying calm under pressure. Following through even when no one's watching. Your brain begins to accept that this is who you are. You're not pretending. You're programming. And every small, consistent action in that direction becomes a vote for the future you. Don't wait for the world. Lead yourself now. Too many people wait for permission. When I get the promotion, I'll take myself seriously. When I'm more skilled, I'll speak with confidence. When I have a bigger audience, I'll act like a leader. No. You rise first. The world catches up later. Every great leader, Every Stoic, every elite performer started with a decision to behave in accordance with a higher standard, long before others recognized it. You don't become a champion and then carry yourself like one. You carry yourself like one until the results match what you already knew inside. Set the standard you want to grow into. When you act like the best, not with arrogance, but with clarity, you begin to raise your expectations of yourself. Filter out distractions and small thinking. Elevate the energy of those around you. Send a message to your subconscious. This is who we are now. And people begin to respond to you differently, not because you're trying to impress, but because you've become undeniable. That's the Stoic way. Consistency over showmanship. Substance over hype. Walk like you've been there, even if you haven't yet. There's a quiet power in behaving like someone who has already achieved internal mastery. You speak less. You listen more. You take responsibility instead of casting blame. You act, not react. This doesn't mean faking knowledge or exaggerating status. It means aligning your daily actions with the version of yourself you respect most. Because confidence built on imitation fades. But confidence built on integrity? That lasts forever. Repeat until it's natural. At first, acting like the best might feel awkward, especially if you're used to second-guessing yourself. But just like putting on new clothes, you get more comfortable the more often you wear them. So keep showing up. Like someone who values their time. Like someone who speaks with conviction. Like someone who doesn't break promises to themselves. Like someone who doesn't fold under pressure, but focuses. The more you do this, the less you're acting, and the more you're simply being. The Stoic way. Excellence as a habit. Aristotle said it best. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. The Stoics lived by this truth. They didn't just read about virtues, they embodied them. Every day was an opportunity to act like the best version of themselves, even when no one was watching. And so is yours. You don't need more talent. You don't need more praise. You need more alignment between who you say you want to be and how you live when no one's looking. You are not waiting for greatness. You are becoming greatness, one decision at a time. So don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for the world to validate you. Act like the best now. Not to prove something, but to become someone. Because when your behavior rises to meet your vision, your life begins to follow. 3. No one is better than you, and you are better than no one. In a world obsessed with comparison, here's a radical thought. No one is better than you, and you are better than no one. Let that sink in. Not because it's a motivational slogan, not because it sounds nice, but because it holds a deeper Stoic truth. We are all on different chapters of the same human journey. Some may be ahead in experience, others may appear behind. But comparison is a game the wise refuse to play, because it traps the mind in a race that never ends, and distracts the soul from its own evolution. Inner strength has nothing to prove. To say, "No one is better than me," is not arrogance. It's inner stillness. It's the recognition that your value is not negotiable, not measurable by outside standards, and not diminished by anyone else's success. You don't need to climb over others to rise. You don't need to shrink yourself to fit someone's approval. You don't need to prove superiority to feel significance. True strength isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It simply is. When you know who you are, you stop performing for the world and start acting from a place of calm conviction. That's where your real power begins, not in dominance, but in dignity. Stoic truth. Comparison destroys clarity. Comparison is one of the mind's greatest traps. It steals your joy. It muddies your direction. It tricks you into measuring your worth by someone else's life. The Stoics were clear. Focus on what's within your control. And what's not in your control. Another person's timing. Another person's strengths. Another person's journey. Another person's rewards. To compare is to betray your own path. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Stop looking left and right. Walk your road, with head high and eyes forward." Everyone is in a different season. Imagine judging a tree in winter for not blooming, or mocking a flower that hasn't yet opened. We wouldn't do that, because we understand nature moves in seasons. Humans are no different. Someone else's success is not proof of your failure. Their speed is not your weakness. Their applause is not your silence. They are simply in a different phase, and your job is not to catch up, but to grow from where you are, with what you have. Your worth isn't a competition. It's a commitment to become the most complete version of yourself, regardless of what anyone else is doing. Humility and confidence can coexist. We're often told it's either or. Be humble, or be bold. Be selfless, or self-confident. Be grounded, or be great. But the Stoics knew better. You can be both. In fact, you must be both. You can walk into a room knowing you have value, without needing to dominate it. You can honor your journey, without comparing it to another's. You can believe in your growth, without needing to belittle anyone else's. Confidence that doesn't require comparison is unshakable. Humility that doesn't lower your standard is noble. That balance is Stoic mastery. You don't need to prove, you need to express. One of the most draining habits we adopt is trying to prove ourselves. Prove that we're good enough. Prove that we're talented. Prove that we're ahead. But you weren't meant to live in a courtroom of opinions. The Stoic way is different. You express who you are by how you live, not by how loudly you declare it. Your consistency speaks louder than your credentials. Your presence speaks louder than your profile. Your values speak louder than your victories. So live in such a way that you never need to explain. Let your life be the evidence. Let your work be the echo. From comparison to contribution. Here's the truth. When you stop comparing, you start creating. When you stop competing with shadows, you start connecting with your mission. Energy once spent analyzing others is now available to build yourself. You move from comparison to contribution. From envy to evolution. From imitation to identity. And that's what Stoicism calls us toward, not perfection, but progress. Not applause, but alignment. Not superiority, but self-mastery. Practical ways to break free from comparison. If you've been caught in the trap of better than or less than, here's how to free yourself. 1. Start the day with inward focus. Before checking your phone, check your values. Set your intentions. Anchor your self-worth internally. 2. Celebrate others without shrinking yourself. Their win is not your loss. There's room for all of us to grow. 3. Track progress, not perfection. Compare yourself only to who you were yesterday. That's your only competition. 4. Replace judgment with curiosity. When you feel triggered by someone's success, ask, what does this reveal about what I truly want? 5. Practice quiet conviction. Speak less about your greatness. Live more of it. Let your silence become your strength. You don't need to outrun anyone. You don't need to outshine anyone. You don't need to be better than anyone. You only need to be exactly who you are becoming. No one is better than you, and you are better than no one. That's not humility, that's power. That's not arrogance, that's awareness. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. So walk forward, not to prove, not to impress, but to express the fullness of your potential. Let others do what they do. You do you, with clarity, consistency, and quiet fire. 4. The way you speak, stand, and walk reflects your inner belief. Before you say a word, your body already has. It's easy to think that confidence is something you speak into existence. That you'll sound convincing if you find the right words, or look powerful if you wear the right clothes. But true self-belief, Stoic self-belief, doesn't begin with words or appearances. It begins with the language of your body. How you stand, how you walk, how you move. These aren't just habits. They are reflections of your inner narrative, your emotional discipline, and your unspoken conviction. Your body is the broadcast of your belief. We tend to separate the body from the mind, but the Stoics knew better. The two are inseparable. What you believe shows up in how you carry yourself. If you feel ashamed, you shrink. If you doubt yourself, your voice weakens. If you feel powerless, your steps hesitate. But when you're aligned with who you are, when you hold belief in your own worth, you don't need to announce it. Your posture does it for you. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic emperor, didn't rule through volume or theatrical display. He ruled through presence, measured, grounded, and composed. Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up, if thou wilt ever dig. And that digging begins in how you hold yourself. Your presence is your power. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately sensed someone who carried themselves differently? They weren't the loudest. They didn't demand attention. But somehow, you noticed them. That's presence. And presence is built through body language that is aligned with inner clarity. Shoulders back, not stiff, but open. Eyes steady, not challenging, but calm. Steps purposeful, not rushed, not lazy, but deliberate. Speech thoughtful, not hurried, but anchored. This is the external expression of a mind that is not at war with itself. A mind that doesn't need to posture, because it already knows its own strength. Your body trains your mind. Here's the twist. You don't need to feel confident to carry yourself like someone who is. In fact, by changing your posture and body language, you can influence your emotional state in real time. Standing tall slows your breath. Making eye contact quiets fear. Walking steadily reinforces composure. Speaking with control slows racing thoughts. The Stoics believed that virtue wasn't a theory, it was a practice. They didn't wait to feel brave to act with courage. They acted first, and feeling followed. You can do the same. Use your body to lead your mind. From posture to personality. Try this tomorrow morning. 1. Stand in front of a mirror. 2. Square your shoulders. Lift your chin. Let your arms hang relaxed, not crossed. 3. Look into your own eyes, steady, not rushed. 4. Breathe, slowly, deeply. 5. Say nothing, just be. Now ask yourself, what would my day look like if I carried this energy into every room? You don't need to overdo it. Confidence isn't about exaggeration. It's about alignment. It's about embodying who you already are, before doubt tells you otherwise. The Stoic body. Calm. Grounded. Ready. To the Stoic, the body wasn't for show, it was for service. A disciplined body was one that could stay still when provoked. Act when called. Resist indulgence. Move with grace under pressure. It wasn't about being ripped or glamorous. It was about being prepared to carry virtue into action. Epictetus, once a slave, taught that even in chains, one could carry themselves with dignity. Because posture wasn't about freedom of movement, it was about freedom of the mind. Embodiment over ego. There's a difference between trying to look powerful and being powerfully still. The former is rooted in insecurity. It needs validation. It shouts. It flexes. The latter is rooted in essence. It needs nothing. It listens. It stands. The next time you feel nervous or unsure, don't rush to fill the space with words. Just pause. Breathe. Ground yourself in your body. And remember, You've already spoken, through the way you entered. This is how a Stoic moves through life. With grace, not grandeur. With presence, not performance. Practical Stoic body language habits. Start integrating these small habits into your day. 1. Stand up fully when speaking to others. Don't hunch or fidget. Let your presence fill the space naturally. 2. Keep your hands relaxed. Clenched fists or pockets signal anxiety. Use open, calm gestures. 3. Move deliberately. Rushing is often a symptom of internal chaos. Walk with intention. 4. Pause before speaking. That beat of silence says, I don't react, I respond. 5. Practice quiet stillness. Even 1 minute of standing or sitting in total silence can recalibrate your nervous system and recenter your mind. The body does not lie. It carries the imprint of your thoughts, your beliefs, your stories. And when you realign it with who you want to become, you train your mind to follow. You don't need to wait for more confidence. You don't need to chase approval. You don't need to announce your worth. You only need to carry yourself like someone who knows. I don't need to prove anything. I just need to show up as the person I already am, beneath the noise. Beyond the fear. Speak with purpose. Walk with strength. Stand with presence. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. 5. Behavior speaks louder than words. You don't need to announce yourself. In a world full of self-promotion, silence has become rare and powerful. We live in a time where everyone seems to be announcing who they are, what they do, how great they're becoming. Social media thrives on declarations. Rooms fill with exaggerated titles, promises, and self-affirmation mantras shouted out loud for recognition. But there's a quieter way. A more grounded, more stoic way. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, but it's undeniably effective. Let your behavior speak. You don't need to announce your greatness. You don't need to declare your value. You don't need to explain your worth. Because the truth is simple. Those who are truly powerful don't need to convince anyone, they simply show up and live it. Talk is easy, action is proof. Anyone can say the words. I'm going to change. I'm disciplined now. I'm focused. I'm evolving. I'm the best version of myself. But what does that mean if your habits tell a different story? You say you're committed, but you skip your practice. You say you're humble, but you interrupt to be heard. You say you're focused, but you reach for distraction before breakfast. The Stoics had a word for empty declarations: noise. Marcus Aurelius never wrote to impress. His meditations were private reminders, not public branding. And Epictetus taught that your virtue wasn't something to perform, it was something to embody. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Epictetus. Power resides in restraint. There's a reason the strongest people you meet often say the least. They don't need to prove anything. Their presence speaks for itself. Their actions are measured. Their word is consistent. Their energy is still. That's not weakness. That's inner command. They don't announce their ambition, they live it. They don't boast about resilience. They show it in how they handle adversity. They don't lecture others about strength. They demonstrate it in how they carry themselves. Especially when no one's watching. The Stoic understands this. The louder the noise, the emptier the conviction. True power doesn't shout, it radiates. Why you don't need to explain. Explaining can sometimes be a subtle cry for approval. Let me justify myself. Let me show you I'm good enough. Let me earn your respect through words. But the person who is truly rooted doesn't need external validation. They speak through patterns, not proclamations. Their habits speak louder than their highlights. Their consistency outshines their charisma. They don't tell you what they'll do. They do it, and let the results tell the story. It's not that they don't care, it's that they've reclaimed the power to define themselves privately. Calm is the signature of inner power. The person who is deeply self-controlled doesn't panic when challenged. They don't need to rush to prove their point or correct your opinion of them. They respond instead of reacting. This level of calm comes not from apathy, but from clarity. Clarity about who they are. Clarity about what they value. Clarity about what deserves their energy, and what doesn't. This is the kind of silent strength Stoicism builds. It's the difference between image and identity. One needs to be maintained. The other maintains you. The world teaches you to perform, but you can choose to lead. Modern culture rewards visibility. Be loud, be known, be followed, be celebrated. But the Stoic doesn't chase applause. The Stoic chases alignment between what they say, what they think, and what they do. And the reward? A quiet mind. A clear path. A soul untangled from needing approval. This is rare. And that's why it's powerful. You don't need to perform greatness. You only need to live in integrity. That's where your true presence is forged. Make your discipline your voice. The best way to speak your truth is to live it. Want to be known for resilience? Keep showing up when it's hard. Want to be seen as focused? Eliminate the noise consistently. Want to lead? Lead yourself first, when no one is watching. Want respect? Respect yourself in the dark, not just in the spotlight. Over time, your behavior will say everything that needs to be said. No hashtags, no speeches, just evidence. And the people who matter, those with depth, will notice. Build a life that doesn't require a caption. The most powerful presence in any room is not the one talking the most. It's the one moving with certainty. The one grounded in purpose. The one whose habits whisper, I know who I am. I know where I'm going. Live like this, And you'll find you don't need to impress anyone, because you're already aligned with something deeper than praise. Principle. Let your mornings be structured. Let your voice be calm. Let your work speak decades after you're gone. Let your stillness echo louder than any applause ever could. You don't need to say it. You don't need to declare it. You don't need to brand yourself as powerful, focused, disciplined, or wise. You just need to be it. Walk with purpose. Act with conviction. Live with consistency. Let your behavior speak for you, because real ones recognize energy, not noise. 6. Stoic philosophy. Self-mastery is the foundation of greatness. Power isn't about domination. It's not about noise, aggression, or control over others. True power, the kind that builds lasting influence, quiet confidence, and inner peace, begins with mastery over yourself. And no philosophy teaches that better than Stoicism. To the Stoics, greatness wasn't a matter of luck or talent. It wasn't found in titles, followers, or recognition. It came from within, from the daily discipline of self-command. Because when you rule yourself, the world cannot shake you. Self-mastery is not about perfection, it's about presence. Most people think of self-control as something rigid, even robotic, but in Stoic thought, it's nothing like that. It's not about suppressing who you are. It's about choosing who you show up as, especially under pressure. When anger rises, do you react, or respond with awareness? When fear creeps in, do you run, or do you anchor down and keep moving? When temptation calls, do you indulge, or do you return to what matters? Self-mastery means you don't let your emotions dictate your character. You still feel them, but you're not ruled by them. This isn't about hiding weakness. It's about transforming it into strength through repetition, intention, and clarity. Act like you are already strong, to become stronger. Here's the paradox. You don't wait to become strong before acting like someone who is. You act like the strongest version of yourself as training, not performance. This is not fake it till you make it. This is form it until you embody it. The way you walk, speak, show up. These are all daily practices of character. Every small act of self-command builds the inner architecture of someone who is becoming truly powerful. You don't posture to appear untouchable. You move with intention to train your nervous system for peace under pressure. This mindset isn't for show. It's for shaping the kind of person you won't have to pretend to be. Discipline, consistency, and awareness, the three pillars. The Stoics' path to power is paved with 3 stones. 1. Discipline. The ability to act based on values, not moods. Wake up early, not because you feel like it, but because it aligns with your focus. Stay calm, not because you're numb, but because chaos doesn't deserve control over your reactions. Train the body, not for looks, but to prepare the mind for discomfort. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, especially when it's inconvenient. That's where trust in yourself is born. 2. Consistency. Greatness doesn't come from occasional greatness. It comes from daily alignment. You don't need to be extraordinary. You need to be reliable to yourself first. Show up when it's boring. Stay steady when it's slow. Refuse to break promises to yourself, even when no one is watching. The Stoic doesn't chase motivation. He builds rhythm, and rhythm becomes reliability. 3. Awareness. You cannot master what you won't observe. Self-awareness is the ability to catch yourself mid-pattern and ask, is this who I want to be? Without awareness, you're on autopilot. With it, you have choice. That pause, before speaking, before reacting, before indulging, is where self-mastery is formed. You are not a slave to your impulses. We live in a world that worships comfort, speed, and instant gratification. The Stoic life rebels against that by saying, I do not obey every urge. I do not follow every emotion. I am not a victim of my cravings. And in that resistance, you find real freedom. Freedom not to avoid challenge, but to rise above your default settings. You no longer need external control to hold you together, because your internal compass is sharp enough to lead on its own. This is how greatness forms, quietly, inwardly, one disciplined moment at a time. Why self-mastery is so attractive. There's something deeply magnetic about someone who's calm under fire. Who doesn't flinch when criticized? Who doesn't get thrown off by chaos? Who moves with composure in a room full of chaos? That presence, the quiet confidence that doesn't beg for attention, is rare. And it comes from having nothing to prove, because you've already proven it to yourself. It's not charm. It's not flash. It's the result of hours, days, months of choosing discipline over ease, clarity over confusion, purpose over pleasure. You're not born with self-control, you build it. Nobody wakes up with Stoic self-command by accident. It's a decision you make and remake every day. To pause when it would be easier to react. To stay consistent when no one's watching. To focus on your lane when everyone else is comparing. To speak calmly when ego begs you to shout. To keep promises to yourself when excuses are easy. This is how ordinary men become unshakable. One controlled moment becomes a controlled morning. A controlled morning becomes a grounded day. A grounded day becomes a legendary life. You don't need to wait for strength to arrive before you act like someone who's mastered it. Act with strength to develop strength. Act with clarity to create clarity. Act with composure to embody composure. Greatness doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from choosing your response, again and again, until who you are matches who you've always wanted to be. So walk through your day like someone who commands themselves. Not to impress others, not to hide fear, but to sharpen your inner edge, because the most attractive force in the world is someone who is fully in control of themselves. What if the real difference between ordinary and exceptional isn't talent, luck, or status, but self-mastery? That's what the last 6 parts have revealed. Not abstract theory, not empty motivation, but timeless principles that quietly shape how you walk through life. You now understand that everything starts with how you see yourself. Before the world believes in you, you must carry yourself like someone who already knows their value, calmly. Without shouting, without chasing validation. And then, you learn to act like the best, before anyone says you are. Not to fake it, but to train it, because every moment of discipline is a vote for the person you're becoming. You discovered the strength in humility. No one is better than you. And you are better than no one. We're not here to compete. We're here to grow, each on our own path, at our own pace, with unwavering focus on our own purpose. Then we shifted from mindset to movement. The way you walk, speak, and stand is already telling your story. The question is, are your actions aligned with the strength you want to embody? And when you realized that behavior speaks louder than words, everything changed. You don't need to announce your values. You need to live them. Quietly, relentlessly, authentically. Finally, we arrived at the core. Self-mastery is the foundation of greatness. Discipline, consistency, awareness. These are the daily tools of people who don't just hope to be strong, they become strong. So now the question isn't whether you know these truths, you do. The question is, will you live them? Because when you do, something profound happens. You stop needing permission. You stop looking sideways. You stop performing and start owning your identity. This is what Stoicism offers, not a louder voice, but a stronger presence. If this message spoke to you, if you're ready to step into the quiet strength that's already inside you, like this video right now, to affirm your commitment to living from within, not from noise. Subscribe to the channel. We're not just sharing content. We're building a disciplined community of grounded thinkers and doers. Share this with someone who's ready to stop chasing and start becoming. Because greatness doesn't come from being better than others. It comes from being braver with yourself, every day.